Welcome, dearly beloved anointed ones. Pay close attention to who's watching you when they think you haven't noticed. That single sentence describes the season you're in right now. Because whether you've realized it or not, you've become someone's unexpected obsession. And the funniest part, it's not even the people you thought would appreciate your glow-up. Nope. Life always chooses the most unlikely audience. Someone who once overlooked you, dismissed you, or flat out misread you like a bad Wi-Fi signal. Yet here they are, quietly admiring you like you're a rare documentary they can't find on Netflix anymore. And here's a fact that will make this even more interesting. Studies show that people admire others in silence at least 3 times more often than they ever admit out loud. Meaning, for every one person who shows you love publicly, at least 3 others are secretly clapping for you behind a locked screen, pretending they're just scrolling. Right now, you're being admired in ways you're not even aware of, and by people you never imagined would feel anything toward you except neutrality, or maybe confusion. Something shifted in you. Your presence, your confidence, your resilience, it's hitting people differently. You've become unpredictable in a world where predictability is the norm. People can't categorize you anymore, and that alone creates curiosity. Humans love what they can't fully explain, and right now, you are exactly that. Unexplainably captivating. Even your haters are low-key subscribers, whether they like it or not. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. Someone you least expect has become a full-blown fan, and not a casual, oh, they're cool kind of fan. More like the respectful kind, the kind who watches your growth like an art collector examining a masterpiece they regret not buying when it was affordable. The kind who whispers, "damn," under their breath every time you level up. And don't worry, you don't have to pretend like you're shocked. You've been leveling up so consistently that admiration was inevitable. Still, the fact that it's coming from someone unlikely, that's the plot twist nobody warned you about. So buckle up, because today we're diving into why your glow is pulling unexpected admirers out of hiding, and why their attention says more about your evolution than their intentions. Number 1, the attention you're getting is not random. People don't suddenly start admiring someone for no reason, and your situation is no accident. The attention you're getting lately is the result of quiet shifts you've made, shifts that most people didn't expect from you. People are drawn to you now because your growth interrupted the version of you they created in their minds. You didn't stay where they left you. You didn't shrink into the role they assigned you. You evolved in a direction they never predicted, and that alone pulls eyes toward you. Human beings are naturally attracted to anything that challenges their assumptions. And lately, you've become that living contradiction. You've stepped into a level of confidence, clarity, and emotional intelligence that doesn't just show, it disrupts. Even if you don't speak loudly, your energy speaks boldly enough to shake people's expectations. That is why you're being noticed more. You didn't try to impress anyone. You simply outgrew the version of yourself they assumed would stay the same. The admiration you're receiving isn't about popularity. It's about the fact that people are drawn to change that feels real, raw, and unforced. You've become the person they didn't think you had the courage or capacity to become. What really catches people off guard and earns their admiration is the fact that you grew in silence. You didn't make announcements. You didn't perform for attention. You didn't need applause to stay consistent. Your transformation showed up without asking permission, and that hits differently. Now, people are watching because they want to understand how you created a shift without noise or validation. Your presence has become intriguing because you're not who you used to be, but you also didn't become someone fake or exaggerated. You simply became more yourself. And it's that authenticity combined with growth that captures attention in the deepest way. People admire what feels rare. And right now, you are rare, because most people change for approval, but you changed for survival, healing, and clarity. That kind of evolution forces people to look twice. They're not just admiring you, they're recalibrating everything they thought they knew. And that is never random. Number 2, someone who dismissed you is now secretly dependent on your growth. It's a strange kind of irony when someone who once ignored you, underestimated you, or treated you like you didn't matter, suddenly becomes invested in your life. Not openly, but quietly. Their admiration isn't casual. It's rooted in the fact that they now see you as a standard they can't reach, a benchmark they wish they had set for themselves. You didn't seek them out. You didn't try to prove anything, yet your growth has become a reference point. They are measuring themselves against you, even if they never admit it. That silent dependency is more powerful than praise, because it stems from the realization that you've achieved something they can't replicate easily. The twist is that their attention isn't just curiosity, it's survival in a social or psychological sense. They are trying to figure out what changed in you, because your evolution challenges their assumptions about what's possible. Every step you take forward reminds them of the opportunities they missed to treat you differently, or the efforts they never made to match your energy. Their admiration is tinted with regret, but it's admiration nonetheless, and it quietly acknowledges your superiority in ways they couldn't openly say. You've become a teacher they didn't sign up for, yet they are learning from you with every observation. Your consistency, resilience, and ability to evolve without needing validation are what drew them in. You've built a life that doesn't depend on their recognition, yet their mental energy is consumed by your presence. They might try to mask it, laugh it off, or pretend disinterest, but deep down, they are tracking your moves because it has become a subtle guide for them. You've set a pace they admire but can't match, and that makes you magnetic in the most unexpected way. This type of admiration is different from applause or compliments. It's quiet, reflective, and strategic. They are paying attention not because they want to, but because your growth forces them to acknowledge the truth about themselves. And the fact that this comes from someone who once dismissed you, that's the kind of validation that speaks louder than words ever could. It's proof that your evolution doesn't just change your life, it changes the way people see themselves in relation to you. Number 3, your energy has become a mirror. People can't escape. There's a reason people are suddenly drawn to you, even the ones you never expected. It isn't about what you say or what you show. It's the energy you carry, the way you move through life with a presence that quietly exposes the truth in others. Your growth, your calm confidence, your consistency, they all act like a mirror, reflecting what people are lacking or hiding within themselves. And the strangest thing is, they can't look away. That reflection makes them uncomfortable, yes, but it also sparks admiration because they recognize a standard they want to reach, even if they won't admit it. People are naturally drawn to authenticity, but what really hooks them is your unapologetic alignment with yourself. When someone sees that you don't bend to please, don't perform to impress, and don't shrink to fit into someone else's narrative, it highlights the contrast in their own lives. Suddenly they're noticing their compromises, their hesitations, their own inconsistencies. Your energy doesn't just attract people, it exposes them. And there's a weird fascination in that exposure. They admire you for being fully yourself, while quietly examining their own reflection and realizing how far they are from it. This type of admiration is not fleeting. It isn't the shallow kind that comes from surface-level charm or temporary success. It's a deep, almost involuntary recognition of alignment and integrity. People are drawn to the clarity in you, the sense that your life is moving in a deliberate, unstoppable direction. Your presence reminds them that growth is possible and that authenticity carries power. Even those who feel threatened by it can't resist watching, because in a world full of imitation, real energy is magnetic. You have become the standard without asking for it, the mirror people didn't know they needed. Their admiration is quiet, intense, and tinged with introspection. They are drawn to you because your evolution forces them to confront their own. And in that confrontation, your influence grows without effort. The energy you carry doesn't just attract eyes, it commands reflection, and that is a power almost nobody can resist. Number 4, they admire you because they miscalculated your breaking point. A lot of people are watching you now because they genuinely didn't expect you to still be standing. Some even quietly bet on your downfall, maybe not out loud, but in their minds they saw you as someone who would eventually fold under pressure. They thought life would crush you. They thought betrayal would silence you. They thought challenges would break you. And the most shocking part for them is not that you survived. It's that you transformed while surviving. You didn't crawl out of your hardships. You walked out of them with a different level of self-awareness and strength. That alone forces admiration, even from people who once doubted you. What really catches people off guard is how you managed to stay grounded when everything around you suggested you should be losing yourself. You stayed patient when you were expected to panic. You stayed focused when you were expected to fall apart. You kept building when others believed you were done. People admire you now because they are witnessing something rare, a person who grows under pressure instead of collapsing. That kind of resilience doesn't just command respect, it demands it. The truth is, most people misread your quiet moments. They mistook your silence for defeat when it was really strategy. They mistook your stillness for weakness when it was really recovery. They mistook your isolation for loneliness when it was really preparation. Now that everything is falling into place, they're realizing they never should have underestimated someone who knows how to endure without announcing their pain. And that realization has turned many doubters into quiet fans. You've become living proof that strength isn't loud, it's persistent. Your journey shows that a breaking point isn't the end for everyone. For some, like you, it becomes a turning point. People admire you now because they saw you go through the kind of challenges that would have destroyed them. Yet you came out more grounded, wiser, and sharper. You didn't just survive, you elevated. And that is something even your critics can't deny. Without seeking validation, you earned their respect simply by refusing to crumble. Number 5, your discipline is impressing people who don't even have discipline themselves. One of the biggest reasons you're getting so much admiration lately is because your discipline has become impossible to ignore. People love to talk big, make promises to themselves, plan grand ideas, and dream of massive changes, but very few actually follow through. You're one of the rare ones who didn't just talk about growth. You committed to it. You showed up on days when motivation was nowhere to be found. You pushed through discomfort when others would have backed out. And even though nobody handed you applause for it, your consistency has built results that now speak louder than excuses ever could. It's not that people suddenly like you, it's that they respect what you've proven. They see you evolving without shortcuts, without pretending, and without begging for recognition. The people who admire you now are often the same people who doubted you before, because your follow-through exposed their lack of discipline in their own lives. When they see you staying focused while they struggle to stay consistent for even a week, it stings, but it also impresses them. You've become a reminder of what's possible when someone chooses commitment over comfort. People admire what they can't easily replicate, and discipline is one of those rare traits. It requires honesty, sacrifice, self-control, and long-term vision, things most people avoid because they're not instantly rewarding. But you've mastered the art of showing up regardless of how you feel, and that gives you a glow that isn't fake or forced. It's earned, and people can sense that. Your discipline also makes you unpredictable. Most people quit halfway, but you keep going. That unpredictability has created a quiet fascination around you. Even people with no discipline of their own are watching you because your progress exposes the difference between desire and dedication. They may not admit it out loud, but deep down, your commitment challenges them to confront their own weaknesses. That kind of admiration is powerful because it's rooted in respect, not hype. You didn't become admirable by trying to impress anyone. You became admirable by refusing to betray your own potential. And now the world, even the undisciplined ones, can't help but pay attention. Number 6, your elevation is triggering their curiosity more than their jealousy. What's happening around you right now is deeper than envy. People aren't just staring at your growth because they're threatened. They're staring because they genuinely want to understand what shifted. You've reached a point where the changes in your life are too noticeable to ignore. It's not just your appearance or your energy. It's the way you carry yourself with this grounded confidence that wasn't always there. Instead of jealousy, many people are feeling something even more powerful: curiosity. They want to know what you tapped into, what you discovered, and how you managed to evolve without losing yourself. Your elevation has a different tone to it. It's not loud or flashy. It's steady, intentional, and undeniable. And that steadiness forces people to look deeper. Jealousy is easy. It pops up when someone feels inferior. But curiosity, that's what comes when someone realizes there's something to learn. You've become a puzzle that people can't solve, and it's drawing them in. They're watching your behavior, your decisions, the way you choose peace over chaos and discipline over distraction. They can sense that your growth isn't luck. It's a result of choices they never had the courage to make. The truth is, people expected you to change in a way that was predictable. They expected you to become arrogant, messy, inconsistent, or lost in the attention, but you didn't. You elevated with grace. You elevated with clarity. You elevated without stepping on anyone or announcing your every move. That humility mixed with success creates admiration that runs deeper than surface-level emotions. They're not trying to outshine you. They're trying to understand how you became so centered in a world full of noise. Curiosity is the strongest form of silent admiration, because it means people aren't just watching, you're influencing them. They're paying attention to how you choose your battles, how you keep your priorities in check, and how you maintain your peace. You've become a quiet example, a reminder that transformation doesn't have to be dramatic to be powerful. Your elevation isn't making people jealous. It's making them curious enough to question their own potential. And that is a kind of influence most people never achieve. Number 7, someone you never expected respects you because you stayed authentic. One of the most powerful forms of admiration comes from someone who once believed they had you all figured out, only to realize they were wrong. The person now watching you is someone who once mistook your authenticity for weakness. They thought your honesty made you too open, your kindness made you too soft, or your quiet nature made you too simple. But instead of changing to meet their expectations or impress anyone, you stayed true to who you are. And now, that very authenticity has become the reason they respect you. You didn't bend to fit in. You didn't switch personalities just to seem more impressive. You didn't betray your own character to win people over. You kept your values intact even when it made you stand out or made people misunderstand you. What they're seeing now is that authenticity isn't naivety, it's strength. It takes courage to remain yourself in a world where everyone is desperate to be a copy of someone else. And the person who once overlooked you now recognizes that courage. What makes this respect even more compelling is the shift in their perspective. They used to think you were too real in a world that rewards the fake. But now they see your consistency. They see that your words match your actions. They see that you don't chase trends, you don't follow crowds, and you don't need external validation to feel relevant. While others constantly reinvent themselves for approval, you built your identity from a place of self-respect. That kind of stability is rare, and rarity naturally demands attention. Your authenticity has also exposed something in them, their own lack of it. Deep down, they know they abandoned parts of themselves to fit in or win acceptance. Watching you live without doing that reminds them of the version of themselves they once lost. So they admire you, not just for who you are, but for who they wish they had the courage to be. That's why their admiration feels strong and quiet at the same time. It's no longer about them judging you, it's about them respecting you for staying real in a world that constantly pressures people to pretend. Number 8, your glow is coming from inner peace, and it's driving people wild. People admire you right now because the glow you carry isn't coming from material things, attention, or luck. It's coming from something much harder to attain, inner peace. You've reached a level of emotional stability that many people spend their whole lives chasing but never fully touch. And the funny part is, they can see it before you even say a word. Your reactions have changed. Your energy has softened but strengthened at the same time. You operate with calmness, clarity, and a sense of balance that makes people stop and pay attention. In a world where everyone is overwhelmed, drained, and overstimulated, you've become a walking breath of fresh air. People aren't used to that. They're used to chaos, loudness, ego, and tension. They expect people to respond with pettiness, bitterness, or defensiveness. But you've been handling situations with grace and emotional maturity that stand out in ways you don't even realize. You're not snapping back. You're not trying to prove yourself. And you're not trying to fight battles that don't matter. That level of emotional discipline takes time, experience, and deep inner work. Work that most people avoid because it requires honesty and self-reflection. Your peace has also become magnetic because it's not dependent on anything external. People can tell that your happiness doesn't come from who approves of you, who stays, or who leaves. It comes from the way you've learned to sit with yourself, rebuild yourself, and choose better for yourself. Nothing is more admirable than someone who can stand alone without falling apart. And that's what people see in you now, grounded strength. You've stopped reacting to life and started responding to it. You've stopped needing validation and started validating yourself. That's the kind of peace that makes people admire you, even if they don't understand how you built it. Inner peace makes you glow differently, calm but powerful, soft but unshakable. People aren't just admiring you, they're curious about how you became so centered in a world that tries to pull everyone off balance. And whether they admit it or not, they wish they had that same peace within themselves. Your glow is a reflection of inner work, and that's why it's turning observers into unexpected fans. Number 9, your absence has become louder than your presence ever was. One reason people are admiring you now, especially someone you never expected, is because you pulled your energy back, and the silence revealed your value more than your presence ever did. You didn't disappear out of anger. You didn't distance yourself to punish anyone. You simply reclaimed your time, your peace, and your emotional space. And when you did, people suddenly realized how much you were contributing, how much you were holding together, and how much your energy mattered. Your absence exposed what they ignored when you were available. People often overlook consistency, kindness, and presence when they're easily accessible. They get used to you being the stable one, the understanding one, the grounded one. But when you shift your energy inward and stop offering your time freely, the impact becomes impossible to deny. What they thought was small was actually holding everything together. What they thought was replaceable turned out to be rare, and what they thought was normal turned out to be exceptional. Your absence forced reflection. It made people realize the emotional comfort you brought, the unspoken support you provided, and the peace you naturally added to spaces. They never saw it clearly because they were too used to it. But now that you're guarded, selective, and more protective of who gets access, they've started admiring you in a way they never did before. Not because you changed who you are, but because you stopped giving more than you received. People admire those who know their worth, even if they're not ready to admit it. When you stepped back, it revealed your strength. When you stopped chasing, it revealed your value. When you stopped explaining yourself, it revealed your maturity. And the person who once took your presence for granted now respects your absence because it showed them something real. They needed you far more than they ever realized. That's why someone you least expect is watching you closely now. They're seeing that you don't beg for attention, you don't cling to connections, and you don't depend on anyone for validation. That self-respect is what makes your absence powerful, and that power is what makes them admire you in ways they never did before. Number 10, they thought you'd break, but you became the proof that their darkness has limits. There's a moment every chosen one faces that outsiders rarely understand. The moment where people push you to the edge thinking you'll finally collapse. They don't do it because you're weak. They do it because they're hoping to confirm their belief that you're just like everyone else. But there's a point where their darkness hits a wall, and that wall is you. What they tried to break ended up becoming the very thing God strengthened. You weren't shaped in peaceful seasons. You were shaped in chaos, pressure, betrayal, and attempts to destroy your name, your confidence, or your spirit. And while they expected to watch you fall apart, what they didn't expect was to witness their own limits when measured against your endurance. Your survival exposed their sickness, not your weakness. Your calm exposed their instability. Your refusal to fold exposed how deeply God anchored you. Nobody likes to confront the truth that they underestimated someone who carries a level of spiritual weight they don't have the capacity to handle. Their goal was to push you into reacting, exploding, quitting, or losing control so they could point and say, "See, I was right." But every time they thought you'd finally snap, something in you held steady. Call it discipline, call it resilience, call it grace. But whatever it is, it's not normal strength. It's strength that comes from being built for impact, not built for approval. What they don't realize is, you didn't survive by accident. You survived because their attacks were never stronger than your assignment. You didn't stay quiet because you were scared. You stayed quiet because you could see the trap. You didn't walk away because you were weak. You walked away because you weren't willing to lose yourself just to prove a point. Every time you chose peace over chaos, you closed a door they were hoping would open. Every time you stayed grounded while they spiraled, it became clear that you weren't the unstable one in the room. You were the boundary they could not cross, the line God drew in the sand, the living reminder that darkness has limits, and you're one of them. Number 11, their obsession with you has turned into a self-inflicted trap. They can't escape. What people don't tell you is that when someone becomes obsessed with a chosen one, whether through envy, hatred, competition, or curiosity, it eventually stops being about you and starts becoming a trap they set for themselves. Their minds get locked onto you like a fixed target, but instead of hitting you, everything they aim ends up backfiring on them. Their fixation begins as a game, a challenge, or an attempt to feel powerful. But after a while, it turns into something darker. They can't stop watching you, talking about you, measuring themselves against you, or trying to anticipate your next move. What began as a little jealousy becomes a mental prison, and you're not the one inside, it's them. You didn't force yourself into their thoughts. They dragged you there and now can't get you out. They thought keeping their eyes on you would give them an advantage. Instead, it's draining their energy, ruining their peace, and exposing their insecurities. Every time you grow, succeed, heal, or rise again, it triggers something emotionally unstable in them. They want to see you fall, but all they see is progress. They want to see you struggle, but all they see is survival. That tension builds inside them until it starts eating at their spirit. You're living your life, but they're living through yours, and that imbalance becomes a silent punishment. The irony is powerful. The more they watch you, the farther behind they fall in their own life. The more they talk about you, the more they reveal what they lack. The more they try to plot against you, the more they expose themselves to consequences. Their obsession is a mirror they can't turn away from, and everything they hope to bury in themselves rises to the surface. They didn't expect God to use their own fixation as their downfall. They thought keeping tabs on you gave them control. But now they're the ones trapped, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, while you continue moving forward untouched. They created the trap, they stepped into it, and now they're stuck in a cycle that has nothing to do with you anymore. Number 12. You have become the proof. People needed that reinvention is real. People admire you now because you are undeniable evidence that change isn't just possible. It can be profound, deliberate, and lasting. You didn't become someone new overnight, and you didn't follow a formula that others could copy. You rebuilt yourself in ways that forced reality to respect you, and the people watching can't unsee it. Your reinvention isn't flashy or performative. It's quiet, steady, and rooted in truth. And that's what makes it magnetic. When people see someone genuinely transform, someone who used to be underestimated, overlooked, or dismissed, they pay attention because it challenges the version of reality they've been living in. It shakes the assumptions they've held about success, strength, and personal growth. You didn't fake confidence, you didn't pretend to be unbothered, and you didn't rely on others to validate your steps forward. Every layer of growth came from work they didn't see, sacrifices they couldn't comprehend, and choices they wouldn't have the courage to make. That makes your evolution feel like a revelation to them. They aren't just admiring you, they're acknowledging something deeper, the possibility that they too could rise differently if they were willing to do the work you quietly committed to. You've become the standard they never expected, and that standard has now rewritten their mental map of what's achievable. What makes your reinvention even more captivating is that it's authentic. You didn't change to impress anyone or to fit into someone else's expectations. You changed because the old version of yourself no longer served the purpose you were called to fulfill. Your courage to rebuild without apology or explanation is inspiring people, even the ones who initially doubted you. They're seeing your life as evidence that transformation doesn't need a spotlight. It needs consistency, patience, and faith in your own capacity to rise. By simply being yourself and evolving beyond what was expected, you've become living proof that reinvention is real, powerful, and permanent. And people admire that because it's a kind of success they can't buy, a kind of growth they can't fake, and a kind of example they didn't see coming. You didn't just change. You changed the way people think about change itself. Number 13. Your boundaries are teaching people how they should have treated you. One of the most compelling reasons someone you never expected is admiring you right now is because of the way you hold your boundaries. For years, people may have crossed lines, underestimated your worth, or taken your presence for granted. They assumed that you would tolerate behavior that didn't serve you, or that your kindness was unlimited. But now, as you enforce your limits, as you choose who gets access to your energy and who doesn't, they're watching with quiet awe. They are realizing, perhaps for the first time, the depth of respect they should have always shown you. Every boundary you set isn't just protecting you. It's silently teaching them the standard they failed to meet before. People are drawn to boundaries because they represent self-respect in its purest form. When someone stands firm, they radiate clarity about what they will and won't accept. Your boundaries are visible, even in subtle ways, in the way you decline unnecessary drama, disengage from negativity, or step back from situations that no longer serve your growth. Those watching you, especially someone who once dismissed or underestimated you, are forced to reckon with the fact that they misjudged you. Their admiration is born from recognition. They now see the strength it takes to honor yourself consistently. What makes this particularly magnetic is that your boundaries are not angry, reactive, or performative. They are calm, deliberate, and unwavering. That balance is rare, and it makes people pay attention. They're realizing that you don't need to fight to prove your worth, and in that realization, respect grows. Your restraint highlights their own lack of discipline or foresight in treating you properly and quietly. Admiration forms. You've become proof that respect is not demanded, it's commanded through consistent self-worth. The person watching you now is seeing the consequences of ignoring that worth in the past. They admire you because, without saying a word, you've shown them exactly how you should have been treated, and in doing so, you've elevated yourself above the expectations they once had. Your boundaries have not only protected you, they've inspired recognition, awe, and silent respect. Number 14, the one who's a fan. Now is someone who realized you never needed validation to be great. The admiration you're receiving lately is not coming from random people. It's coming from someone who finally understands that your greatness doesn't rely on approval, applause, or recognition. They are watching you and realizing that no amount of criticism, doubt, or dismissal from others ever stopped you from moving forward. Your success, your growth, and your resilience didn't depend on anyone patting you on the back or giving you permission to shine. That truth is hard for some people to process, especially those who've spent their lives measuring themselves against external validation. And that is exactly why their admiration is so intense. It's grounded in respect for your independence, your discipline, and your unshakable self-reliance. This person once underestimated you, or perhaps didn't see your potential. They assumed that you, like everyone else, would need constant reassurance to feel worthy or to achieve. But they are now watching a living contradiction to that assumption. Someone who thrived quietly, worked diligently behind the scenes, and grew into a force without ever needing anyone's nod of approval. Your achievements, your composure, and the way you handle challenges all speak louder than words ever could, and they can't ignore it. What they admire isn't just the surface success. They admire the unseen foundation, your consistency, your discipline, your faith in yourself, and your refusal to compromise your values to fit someone else's expectations. The power of your example is profound. By simply being unwavering in your independence and integrity, you've become a model of what true self-worth looks like. They are learning, through admiration, that greatness doesn't bend for anyone. They are compelled to witness your journey because it's a quiet, undeniable demonstration of what it means to rise on your own terms. You didn't seek their respect. It was earned simply by refusing to shrink, by refusing to depend on validation, and by building a life that demands recognition through its results. Now, even someone who once doubted or ignored you sees clearly that your light doesn't need anyone to fuel it. That realization has transformed them into a fan, quietly amazed and deeply respectful, because they understand that real greatness is self-sufficient, unstoppable, and unapologetically authentic. The journey you've been on, The growth you've achieved and the energy you now carry have not gone unnoticed. Every step you took to rise above challenges, every moment you chose yourself over pleasing others, every boundary you set, and every silent victory you claimed has created a presence that commands attention, even from those you never expected. You are being admired not because of luck or circumstance, but because of the depth of your discipline, the consistency of your authenticity, and the undeniable power of your evolution. People are drawn to you because your life has become a living lesson in resilience, self-respect, and quiet strength. What they see now is not just success. It is the embodiment of someone who has refused to be diminished, someone who has rewritten their own narrative while others were still trapped in theirs. This admiration, especially from the unexpected corners of your life, reflects the truth of your journey, the value of growth that is intentional, self-led, and rooted in personal integrity. You have become a mirror for others, showing them the strength they lack, the discipline they envy, and the courage to stand firm in one's own truth. Your evolution is magnetic because it is authentic, relentless, and unapologetic. It sends a message that no force, doubt, or distraction could ever break what is truly aligned with its purpose. You have created a life that commands respect, draws curiosity, and quietly inspires even those who once underestimated you. Now it's time to embrace this season fully. Own the admiration, the respect, and the attention you are receiving, not as a reflection of ego, but as a confirmation that the path you chose, the battles you fought, and the growth you nurtured are all visible, undeniable, and extraordinary. Keep shining, keep evolving, and let your energy continue to speak volumes to a world that is finally catching up to the power you've carried all along. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss the insights meant for those who are rising above. Like this video to amplify the energy, comment to share your journey, and share this with someone who needs to understand the power of their own evolution. Your story deserves to be seen, and so does your growth. God bless you.